Have you ever imagined a world where colossal structures defied the laws of gravity and redefined the limits of human achievement? Unrealistic, right? So, as we explore the archives of ambition and innovation, we discover the untold stories of insane megaprojects that never saw the light of day. Let's dive into the realm of unrealized, jaw-dropping projects that never made it off the drawing board. Get ready to have your mind blown. Throughout history, humans have pushed the limits of what is possible with the tools and resources they have been given. The result of this undying curiosity and determination is construction projects of the grandest scale. Here are some of the largest construction projects that have been created throughout history. The Great Wall of China, the Burj Khalifa Dubai Tower, Chichen Itza, and the Great Pyramid of Giza. Now let's explore a series of rejected plans. In the 1930s, Frenchman Eugène Freycinet proposed a building that would have dominated the Parisian skyline. Picture a screw, flip it upside down, and you've got Freycinet's creation known as the Fer du Mont. The mega project would have been 2,300 feet tall, making it over double the size of the Eiffel Tower. At the top of the structure, there would be parking space for 500 cars, along with a restaurant with one heck of a view of Paris. And if you were driving back, you could forget about washing your food down with a nice cocktail. Steering down a swirling 2,300-foot descent probably isn't the best idea if your head's already in a spin. The price certainly put off the Fer du Mont. In all, it's believed that the tower would have cost about $2.5 million to build. By today's values, that rises to a more eye-watering $56 million. In the late 1990s, American engineer Norman Nixon proposed the Freedom Ship, an utter beast of a boat. In all, that thing would have measured over 1.1 miles long. For reference, the Wonder of the Sea, the largest cruise ship ever made, is only about a fifth of the size of that mega ship. And if it wasn't already chunky enough, the Freedom Ship would tower 25 stories high and was even planned to feature an airport on its roof. All that space, and the fact that it even has an airport on its roof, did mean that the Freedom Ship could accommodate up to 100,000 people. Plus, with schools, offices, a hospital, a library, and even a duty-free shopping mall, the Freedom Ship was designed to have plenty to keep its thousands of citizens cared for and entertained. Passengers could simply look overboard and see the sights of the world, because the transportable town was designed to navigate around the globe every 2 or 3 years, spending the rest of its time docked on the ports of countries it was passing. Obviously, such a mega project doesn't come without a mega cost. In 2002, estimated expenses for the Freedom Ship had risen to $11 billion. For some perspective, that's more than 8 times the amount it cost to build the Wonder of the Seas, currently the world's largest cruise ship. The painful price and doubts over the workability of a city ship with an airport on its roof have meant that the Freedom Ship has never set sail. An ambitious architect by the name of Kevin Schopfer made grand plans for a soaring structure to be built off the banks of New Orleans back in 2009. The thinking was that because most of New Orleans is built below sea level and right next to the Mississippi River, something needed to be done to stop the city's flooding issues. The problem was so severe that after Hurricane Katrina, around 80% of the city was flooded. But instead of building on higher ground or improving the city's flood defenses, Schopfer had a rather more flamboyant solution. He designed the New Orleans Arcology Habitat. It's a 1,200-foot-tall triangular framed megastructure designed to fuse architecture with sustainability. He planned the space to fit 40,000 inhabitants who'd reside in one of NOAA's 20,000 residential units or 3 hotels. Alongside that, there'd be space for a school system, healthcare facility, and even casinos. The building was also designed as a pedestrianized environment, with some horizontal areas being fitted with electric train carriers, while vertical commuters would travel up and down via a series of elevators. But the most impressive thing about NOAA is that the place was intended to be a floating city. A water-filled basin around 1,200 feet in diameter and 50 feet deep would be constructed on the banks of the Mississippi River. The foundation of NOAA would then float within the the basin thanks to a multi-cavity hull at the base of the structure. So in case of flooding, the megaproject could rise above the water. If that wasn't disaster-proof enough, Noah's open triangular frame would help the structure to dissipate hurling hurricane winds by allowing gusts to blow straight through the building. But despite the daring design and abilities of the building to withstand extreme weather, progress on the project has gone quiet for the last decade. While the exact reasons aren't known, it's assumed the costs of erecting and maintaining a giant floating triangular building are about as high as that structure is tall. Plus, the fact that the mega project would only house around 10% of New Orleans' population doesn't exactly make it the most sustainable solution to the city's chaotic weather. So the answer to the Noah is actually just a straight no. In 1959, architect Buckminster Fuller proposed the utterly mystifying and aptly named Manhattan Dome. His plan was to place a giant 1.8-mile-wide dome made of wire-reinforced shatterproof glass from New York's 62nd Street all the way to 22nd Street. But the main question is, why entrap part of a city in a gigantic dome? And surprisingly, the answer wasn't because Fuller had completely lost the plot. Instead, he wanted to create a structure that could regulate the weather in Manhattan. Hypothetically, the inside of the dome would be kept at a moderate level, reducing cooling costs in summer and heating costs in winter. On top of that, that big bubble would prevent snow from forming within its case. And considering that New York City spent a staggering $92.3 million on removing snow from the streets in 2014, it may have been a sensible money-saving suggestion. But in the end, the Manhattan Dome would never be more than a wacky idea. There were concerns over the costs of constructing a nearly 2-mile-wide giant dome, and while Fuller never disclosed construction fees, he estimated that a fleet of 16 helicopters would fly segments of it into position. Unsurprisingly, that wouldn't come cheap, with a projected cost of $200 million, which clocks in at a whopping $2 billion by today's rates. If the painful price wasn't off-putting enough, it wasn't exactly clear how people could get in and out of the thing. And with harmful car emissions rapidly clogging the dome's air up, leaving is something you'd probably want to do. Around the same time that Buckminster Fuller's Manhattan Dome idea was being formulated, American architect Frank Lloyd Wright wanted to create the Illinois Sky City in Chicago. The mega project would have contained 528 floors and been a whopping 5,680 feet high, making it over 1 mile tall. At the time of its proposal in the 1950s, the Empire State Building was the world's tallest construct at 1,472 feet, and yet Wright's beastly building would have been about 4 times higher, and that's just above ground. Underground, it would have used a taproot foundation structure with a reinforced concrete core some 500 feet deep to keep the building above steady. Just imagine having to climb 1 vertical mile's worth of stairs, which is roughly 3,700. Thankfully, Wright had a solution. 76 atomic-powered elevators would be installed in the tower, capable of reaching 60-mile-per-hour speeds, allowing people to reach the top of the tower in just 1 minute. Aside from super-speedy elevators, that soaring skyscraper would also be equipped with parking for 15,000 cars and 100 helicopters, along with room for some 100,000 people. Basically, that place was a city within a building, but despite Wright's grand plans, the Illinois Sky City never made it off the canvas. There was just no site, no client, and no budget for such a soaring structure. It looks like Wright got this one wrong. So there you have it, explorers. Which of these insane mega projects would you have loved to see become a reality? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more fascinating contents coming your way. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring. See you in the next video. Bye!